Welcome to Lighting the Old Paths broadcast, the ministry of Lighthouse Baptist Church in Plains, Georgia, with Pastor James Burke. We're glad you've joined us today and trust that this time in God's Word will be a help and a blessing to you.
Y'all look like you're writing notes, but I bet you're writing names. When we say a statement like that, those people that are continually texting our patience, boom. Yeah, I mean, it's human nature. Somebody gonna pop in our heads. Samuel, is your wife not here tonight? Okay, so it may be your wife that popped in your head. She's taxing your patience. I won't tell her daddy that she's that, okay? It could be someone else. Maybe it's the preacher. Will he ever shut up? I don't know. He's continually taxing our patience. Miss Kim says, I'm burning another casserole. Whatever the case may be, a lot of times when we make a statement like that, the thought is, I can pinpoint who that person is. Maybe it's someone related to us. Maybe it's in our own home. Maybe it's in our church or at work or somewhere else. I don't know. But gentleness shows that benevolent disposition while maintaining a desire for the well-being of those who are continually taxing our patience. We say things like in our flesh, we say things like, boy, I wish they'd just move away. I wish they'd just go jump off a bridge. I wish God would just get them out of my life. Just remove them. I don't care how He does it. But what gentleness is, that's a true desire for that person that popped in your mind, for them to have well-being. Think about that for a minute. We're talking about the fruit of the Spirit. We're talking about what it is. While long-suffering holds or withholds vengeance. Remember we talked about long-suffering last week. Long-suffering is that picture of, again, Kurt, going back to you, if you were to stand and you were to punch me in my right jaw and I was able to stand, then long-suffering is to continue to stand until you were done and not retaliate. So, long-suffering withholds vengeance, but gentleness bestows mercy. So think about it. You get up and you punch me, I'm bloody, I'm black and blue, but instead of me closing my fist in anger, I open my arms and I embrace you. That's the picture of gentleness. Let's look now at second point, what it is not. Gentleness, what it is not. Very quickly. It is not selfish. It is not harsh. It is not rude. All three of those, I'm convicted by every one of those words. Sometimes I'm so harsh. I said to somebody's situation a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, I'm not dealing with it. I am not dealing with it. I'm going to nip in the bud right here. And Lori, she heard what I had to say, and it wasn't her. She heard what I had to say, and later she said, sometimes you're just too harsh. You're too hard. And that goes back to that personality being black or white. This is wrong. I'm not going to stand for it. And I'll just be transparent with you. We dealt with some things last year. It goes back to at one point being too lenient on things. And it seemed as though trouble spread. And then trying not to repeat that mistake. Just cutting everybody off. We can be too harsh. We can be rude in our reactions. What was the other word? We can be selfish. That is not gentleness. Gentleness is not selfish. It is not even for yourself. Now you do need to be gentle on yourself. Again, men, sometimes we have a hard time just being too rough on ourselves. And I think that's innate. That's inbred in us. There's nothing wrong with that. But you can be a little easier on yourself. It's not selfish. Gentleness is not harsh or rude. It is not malignant. Now, in my studies, I came across this, and I just remembered Hunter. We talked yesterday about your grandmother, and I'll go ahead and give you a prayer request. We mentioned Brother Hunter's grandmother's. They found a lump under her left arm, and they did find that it was cancerous, and they're wanting to do more tests. Right now it's in stage 3, and depending on these tests, if it has spread, it could be in stage 4. So I apologize for not saying that earlier. But as I was studying this, and you and I had this conversation yesterday, and this word malignant was already kind of ruminating. This word malignant, it means dangerous to life. If you have cancer, it can be a skin cancer. But if they do a biopsy and they say this is malignant, that little bitty thing that's the size of a freckle or the size of a mole or maybe even larger, if it is not treated, if it's malignant, it is dangerous to your life. The word malignant means one of extreme evil intentions. Extreme, Brother Jody. Evil intentions is the word malignant. I may have said this before, and I'll say it quickly and hurry on. I had either just left Bays Mountain Baptist Church and started pastoring, or maybe I was still there. And there was this old lady, and I say that respectfully, but this old lady, I don't even remember her name. And if y'all have anybody like that in your family, you know you have to help them with technology. Well, she figured out how to email. She had her own fancy little email address, Brother Terry. And she got some sort of an email that had a picture of an angel. And Brother Bobby, it says, if you'll pass this along, then you'll be fine. But if not, may all the problems that face this particular person, it gave a story about some little girl having leukemia and her life was slipped away and she died and all this. So this lady sent me this, and it hit me back one day. I mean, it forevermore. I was not gentle. I was harsh in my response. Hardly ever talked to this lady, but I blessed her in the name of not Jesus. I mean, I just wore her out. I said, do you realize, now keep in mind that the premise of this email, Samuel, was this little girl had cancer, and if you'll send it on, you won't have cancer, but if you don't, you'll get cancer. That was the premise of this. What do they call those things? Chain mails. So I didn't pray about it. I mean, it made me mad. And I said, do you realize, and I wish I could think of her name, I said, do you realize that I've had 5 uncles die of cancer? And I've watched every one of them die. I said, do you realize that my grandmother and my grandfather both had cancer, and both of them are now dead? And I mean, I just I said, how dare you? And this woman has sat back there and smiled and clapped and praised the Lord while I was preaching, and I was responding to her like this because of emotions, because the memories of the loss that I experienced. But you see, the reason that it stirred up so much is because I've had that conversation before. It is malignant. It has evil intentions. It is something that is dangerous to life. As I read this, and I'm talking about this, it's been years ago, but it's still fresh as I think about this. How I reacted in my own malignant way. Not gentle. I wanted to cause her the same harm in her spirit as she caused in mine because of this threat. Now I say that not bragging. I say that to my shame that I reacted that way. But gentleness is not malignant. Gentleness will not hurt you. In spite of what we think, love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness will not hurt us. It said at the end of verse 23, against such there is no law. Nick, it's not going to hurt us to be gentle. One last thing. What it is not malignant. This, finally, it is something that is at constant enmity. Enmity is a Bible word. You don't hear that outside of the Bible. And in every use, there's the idea of basically being an enemy of God. Enmity. You are an enemy of God. You are at odds with God. Romans chapter number 8, verse number 7. Romans chapter 8, verse number 7. Let me turn over there. It didn't take it in there. Let's look back to verse number 6. For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Because the carnal mind is enmity against God. For it is not subject to the law of God, neither indeed can be. What is enmity? The carnal mind is enmity with God. Gentleness is not malignant. It is not dangerous to life. It does not have extreme evil intentions. And it is not at constant enmity. You get cancer, you ask anybody, when they go to the doctor, they're gonna show them some sort of a diagram or maybe a video, or they're gonna show them something. And in that, somewhere along the line, in that presentation, they're going to say that these cancer cells are fighting your healthy cells. And they are strong. These cancer cells are strong. But can I tell you tonight that gentleness, it's not at constant enmity. Gentleness breeds gentleness. You know what cancer does? It breeds cancer. It spreads. That's why your family is concerned, Hunter. If it has spread, it then is stage 4. Oftentimes in stage 4 cancer, there is nothing to be done because it will continue to spread and spread and spread. But gentleness begets gentleness. These things that we're studying about, this fruit of the Spirit, it doesn't matter which one you want to pull out of there. Every single one of those manifestations of the Spirit, the fruit of the Spirit, is going to produce that again.
Thank you for listening to Lighting the Old Paths, the radio ministry of Lighthouse Baptist Church in Plains, Georgia, with Pastor James Burke. We trust today's message from God's Word has been a help and a blessing to you. We invite you to visit Lighthouse Baptist Church. Our service times are Sunday school at 10 a.m., and Sunday at 11 a.m. and 6 p.m., Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. For more information, visit www.lighthouseswga.com or write Lighthouse Baptist Church, 817 U.S. Highway 280 West, Plains, Georgia, 31780. You could also email pastor@lighthouseswga.com. God bless you. Until next time.